Welcome to the Becoming a Manifest Star podcast. I am your host, Brie Garnica, and I am an intuitive entrepreneur, quantum manifesting practitioner, and energy coach. Nothing, and I mean nothing, lights my soul on fire like helping female entrepreneurs take simple actions to live in radical alignment of their soul's purpose and make it a business. I teach women the skills to master their mindset, find their energetic flow, and create the structure to experience wild success and abundance without the ick factor of burnout or hustle culture. In this podcast, we will cover all things regarding mindfulness, quantum physics, neuroscience, and a little bit of the woo. Here, you'll find guest experts and easy step-by-step actionable strategies you can start implementing into your business today to become that master manifest star that I know you are. This is Becoming a Manifest Star podcast, and let's get started. One thing that I talk about a lot in my coaching and in my content, and that you will hear very frequently referenced on this podcast, is the themes of masculine and feminine energy. So before we go much farther, I want to make sure that we are on a similar understanding of what I mean when I say those words and what I'm talking about specifically. And just to kind of also have a basic understanding of what is masculine and feminine energy and what it is not. I will go ahead and start with what it's not. Masculine and feminine energy, those labels, because that's all they are, it's just labels. But those labels are not boxes. No one should ever be not doing something because it's masculine and they are feminine, or vice versa. It's also, I am not talking about gender identities or sexual preferences or anything when I'm saying male versus female. What I'm talking about feminine and masculine energy is there are these themes that are undeniable in the world. These themes of like rest, flow, fun, passive reflection. These are all things that will typically be attributed to feminine energy. And then there are other things like manifest, action, force, structure. And these themes, that's like a very big push energy, whereas feminine energy is a very big pull. But all of those typically fall within in the masculine, get labeled in the masculine way. Now, at the same time, just because you identify as a female does not mean that you are incapable of creating structure, or you're incapable of doing action, or, men make better leaders because of yada, yada. I'm not even going to finish that sentence because it's such trash. That's not what we're talking about here. At the same time, any of those using the words of like masculine and feminine energy to promote gender norms, especially gender norms that are based in the 1950s, also trash. Not talking about that. Everyone can embody both feminine and masculine energy within themselves. Everyone has access to it, and it is important that everyone learns and knows how to balance it for themselves, because it's only when you're able to live in balance with your masculine and feminine energies, especially with in turn when responding to the environment around you, that is when you experience success, whether that's financial, whether that's in opportunities, but that is when abundance and flow really starts being able to happen, and you're able to channel both of those energies, not just one or the other. So I hope that kind of sets some form of a foundation as we continue to chat. Because the reason why I want to chat is because it's one of the most frequent questions I get from my clients is, Brie, how do I leverage both masculine and feminine energy in my business? Which is a great question, because for a lot of us, especially as women, we were forced to show up in a hyper masculine way especially in business, in order to thrive, quote unquote, and be quote unquote successful. You hear it all the time, making decisions out of logic, not emotion, not listening to your intuition, having to make sure that you're able to back what you're saying with data and statistics and research and things like that. That's not always what makes a good business. I said it. I said what I said. Being able to show up in a hyper masculine way is not what it will help you maybe create the next Amazon or the next Target. And that's not what we need. That's not what we need. So the reason why I talk so much about understanding your and identifying and bringing awareness to your own masculine and feminine energies is because a lot of my clients have come from corporate America and they are wanting to create their own business. And what oftentimes happens is that they actually just end up recreating the same 9 to 5 paradigm that they came from, which is totally fair because that's all they've ever known. But a lot of times that 9 to 5 paradigm is rooted in their masculine energy. It's about structure. It's about force. It's about action. It's about go, 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 doing, producing, and completely has them cut off from their feminine energy, from their intuition, from their ability to rest and receive. And if you don't have that rest and flow, receive part of the cycle, then the manifesting just ain't happening. And you are trying to co-create while having a chokehold on your own life force energy. You're not able to navigate and play this game with all of the tools in your tool belt. And because oftentimes what happens is we're forcing our business, the spirit of our business to happen. And in reality, that's not where that it factor comes from. You hear it all the time, people talking about how, your business has to have that it factor. You need to create magnetizing content. You need to create an offer that can sell itself. When in order for you to create a business that is a lifestyle and not a side hustle, it's going to need that it factor. It's going to need your special sauce. But how on earth do you find that it factor?
So I'm going to use a bit of an analogy here. I want you to think about building a greenhouse, okay? So first off, what probably happens is you actually get inspired and passionate and you're like, you know what I really want to do? I want to make a garden. So you go ahead and you get the stuff to start making the actual structure of the greenhouse itself, You get the wood, you get a whole set, whatever. You build up the structure of the greenhouse. Now you probably start thinking about what to put inside the greenhouse. You think about what plants you want to get. You think about the quality of the soil that you're going to need. You get that stuff. You start building the garden boxes. You have the plants going. They're planted. They're watered. You're making sure that the greenhouse is done. You're adjusting it. You're making sure that the greenhouse is going to be able to properly support those plants. So it has the right amount of sunlight, the right amount of humidity, and it's going to create that environment for them to thrive, as well as, watering these plants, as well as making sure that the nutrient dense soil is good, yada, yada, yada. It is very similar to creating a business rooted in your feminine flow while also leveraging your masculine energy as well, because it looks like this. Your gift, your passion to, that you want to turn into a product or a service, those are the plants. Your inner soul environment, you as a person, and your relationship with yourself, that is the soil that feeds nutrients to the plants to actually bloom in their own divine timing. And then the greenhouse is the infrastructure of your business. If you just have a really awesome infrastructure of a greenhouse and you don't pay attention to the actual plants, it's a really nice building, with 4 walls, like cool. Now, if you focus solely on the greenhouse and you're taking care of that to the best of your ability and you're focusing all of your energy and time and attention on the garden itself, then and you start to neglect the greenhouse, the actual structure, well, then you start having the roof, kind of has gets a hole in it, and the foundation is cracking, the door doesn't close, so the frost gets in. So now all the plants are dead. Like that's also a problem as well. It takes a balance of focusing on the feminine energy and the masculine energy to create a business, a greenhouse that is overall thriving. But once again, a lot of times we focus solely on the infrastructure, or we focus solely on the energetics, and we deny one or the other, and then we wonder why our business isn't working, and then we just chalk it up to we're bad at business, which is not true. So then the next question obviously becomes, Bree, how do you know when it is time to switch between masculine or feminine energy? Which is a brilliant question. So you will know when to shift from masculine to feminine energy response when your force is being met with resistance. You are trying to make something happen, and darn it, it just doesn't want to go, and you feel like your wheels are spinning and you're getting tired and exhausted. That is the time to shift into your feminine energy and either reflect on the situation, start asking yourself some questions like, why is this happening? Is there something that I'm missing? Just reflecting, general reflection. Go get creative. Go do something completely not related to what you're trying to make happen right now. Get creative, paint, dance, go on a walk, be out in nature, whatever it is. I highly, highly encourage you just to be a well-rounded person, but especially an entrepreneur. Go get a creative hobby that you really enjoy that has nothing to do with your business or being productive in any way, and do it frequently. It's going to help you so much. Or you rest. And I mean rest. I don't mean go take a nap. I'm like, go do nothing. Just be with yourself for a while. Genuinely rest. And then eventually you're gonna feel that energetic shift within yourself and be like, okay, either you're gonna have the clarity to go back and nail the thing that you're trying to do, or you're gonna have the clarity to shift into something else. And then when you will know when to shift from your feminine energy into your masculine energy response, when you are not feeling in flow, but a lack of direction. So often people think that being in your feminine energy just means being super go with the flow and never necessarily like doing anything, always waiting to respond. That can be part of it, but there also is a fine line between, responding and feeling like you just have a lack of direction and you're just floating. And there's not really you're not really doing anything. You're just kind of chilling. You're content. You're just not moving. That is the time to shift into your masculine energy by creating structure, taking action, even if it's messy action. We love some good messy action, or just simply looking at the facts. Now, I will say that when you are in a lack of direction, when you have that feeling, that is different from the feeling of being in the void. The void is something that happens to everyone in their life at some point, and it's unavoidable, and you can't do anything in the void until it's time. But the thing is, that's completely outside of your control, versus when you feel a lack of direction, that is within your control. So the void happens when you are just in a situation where you are, it typically happens in periods of transition, when you have one foot out of the door, but you're not exactly sure where you are meant to go yet. At the end of the day, I want you, if you take nothing else away from what I'm saying here, I just want you to start giving yourself the permission and allowing yourself the freedom to do what feels good. Regardless of, you can know everything you want to know about masculine and feminine energy, but just it's being aware and asking yourself, does this feel good? Is how I'm responding to this situation or environment, how I'm running my business, how I'm living my days, does it feel good to me? Or do I feel like I'm being inauthentic? Do I feel like I have to be showing up a certain way? Do I feel burnt out? These are the questions that leads me to my next couple of points that I think are extremely important when having this conversation around masculine and feminine energy. And that is, it's important to embody a mindset of curiosity versus judgment. All of this is building your self-awareness muscle. And in order to do that, you have to shift into this role as the observer of how you react, the thoughts that you think, the ways you show up. And the more you can observe, that then leads to naturally noticing different patterns. And once you realize that something is a pattern or a habit or an automatic, trigger for a response and how you react, then you can start asking yourself the question of, is that how I want to react, or do I want to respond in a different way? I'll give a really quick example here. So when I first started off my business, a majority of my business is on social media, mainly Instagram, kind of TikTok, trying to get into Pinterest. It's hard enough just keeping up with the algorithms of one platform, much less three. Regardless, at the beginning times of my business, I looked at my Instagram very much in a masculine way. It was a tool to act as a marketing strategy to reach as many people as possible. These numbers was direct with of how many followers I had or how many views something had or how many likes were directly correlated to how good a piece of my content was, and thus how good my business was. And as you can imagine, social media is wild and rough out there. And for the first couple of months, my content didn't do great. I didn't, go viral and get thousands of followers overnight. None of that happened. And I was letting that play a story in my head that I was, really bad at social media and I was making really bad content and yada, yada. Like the numbers weren't performing, the metrics weren't there, the strategies weren't working. And then as I started to dive into the possibility that social media can actually act not necessarily in the strategic masculine way, but taking a more feminine energy approach to it, I started using my social media as a place to build a community. And for me to show up authentically as a creative expression of myself, as an actual platform. Instagram then became what I use to express myself and to connect with my ideal clients in a genuine way versus this marketing tool that is supposed to churn out these metrics for me and really only look at it for the numbers. And once I started coming at it from that feminine energy way, my content skyrocketed. It was incredible. And I had all of these people talking to me, my DMs, my story views went up, my engagement rate went up, my followers went up. I've gone viral like twice now by, I would say, accident. I didn't necessarily plan it, but I really started to see the change just from that simple mindset shift, that energetic shift of how I was approaching my social media.
So with that said, that is my very, very brief intro to masculine and feminine energy in your business and in your life. I will be using these phrases quite frequently throughout my content because it is pillar. It's a pillar. It's key. It's key to understanding yourself. It's key to understanding the environments around you and how to navigate both your internal environment and your external. And I encourage you to explore what these terms mean for you, because that's the thing. At the end of the day, yes, there's 1,000 different definitions for masculine and feminine energy because there's 1,000 different humans having human experiences for what this means. At the end of the day, when you're listening to my podcast and you're listening to me talk, I want you to listen with your whole being and just feel what resonates with you. When you feel what resonates, take what resonates with you, drop the rest. Don't worry about it. Honestly, there's a lot going on here. And you know what? You might listen to this podcast 3-4 times and you pull out something new every single time. It's completely unique to everyone's human experience. So, but these are my definitions of masculine and feminine energy. This is what I'm talking about when I use it in my coaching. And I encourage you to go out, live, explore, discover what these terms mean for you, and come back and let me know what you find. Thank you for joining in on this episode of Becoming a Manifest Star podcast with me, Coach Bree. I hope that our discussion has inspired you to tap into your own power of manifestation and use it to achieve your wildest dreams. Don't forget to like, follow, and leave a review of this podcast. Also, feel free to drop any ideas for future podcasts by commenting on my most recent Instagram post. Remember, you have the ability to create your own reality, so trust in your magic and good things are on their way.